Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. K.A. Shakur, and I'm the president of the SEBRC, which is the Southeastern Buddhist Retreat Center. Our next speaker I find to be very dynamic and inspirational. And one thing about Buddhism, when Buddha came, he evened the playing field, because at that time, women didn't have too much of a place in the Vedic society at that time due to the caste system. And way spirituality was taught, women basically really couldn't attain anything spiritually. Everything went through the male. So it was mostly a patriarchal system. So Sakyamuni Buddha, at the urging of his cousin Ananda, encouraged him to start an order of nuns. I'm saying that to say that she's very inspirational for all people that listen to her. She truly emulates, and you feel the energy coming from her, and you can almost feel as she talks, especially from that forest tradition, at least from my experience, it's almost like when you're sitting there, you're almost sitting in the presence of Sakyamuni Buddha as he was giving forth discourses. So our next speaker, I'd like to introduce our speaker, Ayya Marajina Bhikkuni.
Hello, everybody. It's nice to be here. Thank you for the invitation, and it's an amazing project that is being worked on by probably a handful of people, as it usually the case. So I would like to really say Anumodana. I rejoicing in this project, in the energy, and welcoming all of you to participate. So I was going to speak on freedom, on right freedom. You've all heard, I imagine, you're all Buddhists, practicing Buddhists here. So the Noble Eightfold Path is a centerpiece for our practice. But have you heard of the Noble Tenfold Path? No? Oh, good, because then perhaps I have your attention. And it's through attention, through listening, that we progress on this path. Actually, through listening, one can attain Sotapanna, which is the first stage of awakening, where we drop our view of a separate identity, our identity view. It's dropped. Of course, you've attained something, so doubt is gone. And then you know what the work has been. So your thoughts of ritualizing the precepts is also gone. So that's the first one. And all it takes is listening. So back to the Noble Tenfold Path. It is the same as the Noble Eightfold Path, but it makes two distinctions apparent that are underlying, that are taken as implicit in the Noble Eightfold Path, which is, of course, right view. So right view is when we start practicing just understanding cause and effect. That's it, cause and effect. Once you understand cause and effect, even on a cursory level, that leads to right intention. We know that causing harm has an effect. It may have an effect on another being, animal, human, insect, but it also has an effect on us. The Buddha said it was like holding a red hot coal, that you're so angry that you want to fling it at someone. But who gets hurt first holding that red hot coal? The one holding it. So right intention is that we understand cause and effect so that we cause no harm. We have goodwill. And we begin to let go of things, renunciation. We begin to let go of things. And what do we immediately let go of? All the unskillful actions, little by little, because they're very embedded. We let go of lying and harsh speech, which harms. We let go of certain actions like sexual misconduct and stealing. And we live in a way that maintains our precepts, maintains. We hear Buddhism a lot, but actually what the Buddha taught wasn't Buddhism. It was Dhamma or Dharma, the teachings, and Vinaya, the discipline. Dhamma Vinaya. It's not just about the teachings and readings and listening. It's also about embodying the teachings. And so the other factor, in the division of concentration is right effort, which we do constantly. I mean, this is not a separate part here. This is constantly. We're constantly watching our mind, watching our actions, watching the actions of others to learn, and trying to do away with that harm, unskillful actions. And at the same time, trying to cultivate skillful actions that help us progress. Because that's the only thing that we have to do, is let go of unskillful and cultivate skillful on that path. Sati, right mindfulness. It's called mindfulness. It's actually like a presence, like an awareness that you are present. You know what you're doing. You're alert to that. It's not relaxing. It's not a relaxing thing. But it's not like a caffeinated alertness either. And you know it when you're in it. That leads to samadhi, the right unification of mind. This is what we're all trying to do on the cushion. This elusive unification of mind. So those are the 8. But there's 2 more implicit here, because samadhi is taking you back to right view. But right view, remember, we started with cause and effect, but it becomes right view of the 4 noble truths. And at that moment, it becomes the Aryan path. And I'm very sorry that word has a history that is very regrettable and horrific. But it just means noble. But the 2 steps that are not there is samajnana. Jnana means knowledge, right knowledge, which is what all that work takes you to. Real understanding of our reality. And once we have right knowledge, then right freedom. Sama vimutti. And that changes everything. Then, of course, we start all over again. The Noble Eightfold Path has actually 4, I don't know what the word is, versions. The first one is where we begin, but then the other 3, we're already noble ones. And I want to deviate here because it's this right freedom that I really, really wanted to talk about, because we're listening to a lot of free speech lately in our culture. We're listening to a lot of freedoms in our culture. But freedom, remember, not just the concept, but the discipline that comes with that. Without the discipline, it's just a whole bunch of garbage. Free speech isn't just about saying whatever's on your mind. Free speech comes with responsibility. Really, free speech is an immensely responsible act. It's truthful. It's timely. Because sometimes we know the truth, but it's really the wrong time. And what's the wrong time? When we're angry. It's the wrong time to be truthful. Or when the other person is angry and can't listen. And is it beneficial? I mean, if it's not beneficial, what's the point? Why bring it up at all if it's not going to be beneficial? Hey, you remember 10 years ago when you did this? That was very wrong. You were very, unless there is a point to it in the present, that it's timely, then let it go. And this is right freedom, which is of two kinds. There is samavimutti. It's that liberation of the Buddha's path, of that teaching. It's liberation, liberating insight. But there's also the right freedom that comes through practice. With all these 8 components that we just listened to, just practicing those, keeping precepts, being a moral, responsible individual, non-harming, bringing up skillful mental activity when we're irritated or depressed or sad. These are responsibilities. This, before you become a sotapanna, this changes you. It's just that habitual abandoning of unskillful thoughts that will change you. And you know what? It changes people around you without doing anything, without the placards, without the marches, without the protests, without the letter writing. Once we begin to embody everything that we believe in, that we say we believe in, that changes us. And that changes those around us. We see that somewhere. I see visualize inner peace. Yeah, right on. It's here. And it's not so easy. And you should know that, right? I mean, you sit down in the cushion, there is instant awakening there in the cushion. You sit down, you've organized your life, you lost the majority of your old friends because you've dedicated time to meditation. You stopped intoxicating things. You've stopped all the partying. You sit down regular time every evening or every morning, and no awakening yet, right? Not yet. Well, that's because it doesn't mean that there isn't a progression toward awakening, right? This is a practice, and all you got to do is practice. It's why it's called practice. Is you're practicing. Just that begins that change. Keeping to that schedule. And you know how hard it is, which is why I celebrate this project, the Southeastern Buddhist Retreat Center. Like Nancy was saying a little while ago, community. This feeds these right intentions. This feeds our practice. This improves our world. Little bits. And so that's a freedom. That's a right freedom. And it comes before that other freedom that we aspire to. That freedom of losing this burden of a sense of self, of our likes and our dislikes, our wants and our not wants. Oh my gosh. It's like carrying around a sack of rocks. Totally useless, 50-pound sack of rocks over your shoulder wherever you go. That's pointless. But until we start to feel that, we don't even know we're carrying around a 50-pound bag of rocks. We don't know. There's this, you've probably seen it, on I-75 as you're leaving Gainesville. You've been hemmed in, trees and towns and everything on I-75, right and left, even if it's like a divided highway. There's trees, there's buildings, and then suddenly you hit the Payne's Prairie. And what happens? Open space, and you feel it. And this is not as wonderful as the freedom that comes from practice. That's right freedom, with the responsibility for all beings, all of them, all the little creatures too. There's this sense of real community in right freedom. It's not that, suddenly, like you remember, most of us remember maybe when we turned 18, I think now it's like 21. It should be like 30 or 35 or 40 or 50. I'm 61. I'm still, it's not quite. I don't think it really exists out there. It really exists in here. But we remember that, suddenly it's like, I can do whatever I want. That's not right freedom. That's what gets us into these situations that we're in right now. Doing whatever we want because we can do it. It comes with a responsibility, and that responsibility is practice. Just the practice. That's it. I mean, the Buddha wasn't talking about all of these other things. He'd give one teaching and then go, hey, there's some roots of trees over there. There's an empty hut over there. Go, practice. Or you'll regret it later. And so the ones that were able to do that reach these distinctions, these high, noble distinctions. It's not a mythology. And you're all practicing Buddhists. You should know this is not myth. This is not some other, oh gosh, there she is talking about all that stuff again, it's real. And there is that right freedom as the noble tenfold path. And it has fruit before you ever reach that stream of Sotapanna, which is the stream winner, right? We're all familiar with that. The stream winner, the one that cuts off identity view. Before you even reach that, there is another freedom, is that we can live in this world as a counter-cultural revolutionary and be free with our responsibilities, with our responsibility toward ourselves and to others. And that brings us peace. It's a peace that you can't buy. It's not on Amazon, not on TikTok, and it lasts for as long as you practice. And then that leads you to want more, to incorporate more, to embody more of this teaching. And that leads to the noble right freedom. So don't forget when you're practicing the Noble Eightfold Path that there are two other factors, unspoken, but the Buddha talked about them. They're in the Nikayas. I think the Majjhima Nikaya and the Anguttara Nikaya, they're there. Sama Samadhi leads to Samajnana, leads to Sama Vimutti. And all this time, you're building a peaceful state of mind. Where community comes in is to keep going. Because when we're by ourselves, we can quit. Our minds are just used to instant gratification. We sit down, we want the fruit right now. We want samadhi right now. And when it doesn't happen right now, because these things are very, very deeply rooted, anusaya, latent tendencies. We don't even know what they are when we begin to practice. We think the problem is everybody else. And then we start to see things we don't like. I see this a lot with my students. They fight me. Oh no, I'm not like that. No, I'm not like that. And then I just leave them alone. And they will, if they're practicing correctly, they will return, sometimes in tears. I didn't think I was like that. Of course, we're all like that. But we don't have to stay like that. So rather than getting frustrated, depressed, angry, you return to re-nourish your practice with community, right community. And that's what's happening here. And so I celebrate that with you. I encourage you to keep going before that light emerges, and it will emerge. There's a lot of darkness. And you know what the Buddha said? It's okay, don't worry about it. Leave it alone. Keep going. Keep going. Individually and collectively. Let's keep going. That's the only salvation. That's the only right freedom. Well, thank you. I mean, I don't think anybody fell asleep. No snoring at all. I appreciate this. I appreciate all of you. And I wish you the best. I wish you well-being. And you know what well-being is in the Noble One's discipline? Nibbana. True well-being. True wellness.